Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Any Given Monday. I'm LJ Finney, and we are wrapping up Small Business Month and Mental Health Awareness Month with one of the biggest conversations I feel like we need to have: how to sustain your business beyond the startup phase. I am in that right now. We are in year 5. We founded the business in 2019, and it's been a journey ever since. There was a pandemic, people shifted the way they did business. I shifted the way I did business and really what we were focusing on as a company. I mean, initially it was, I just want everyone to learn to play golf. I just want women to get out there on the course. I want to make the experience as accessible as possible. I've had tremendous wins in my life, and I want to share that with companies and individuals. That was in 2019. And I had been doing it for a while. But after 2020, I realized it's bigger than just the conversation about golf. It's about what's happening up here. There's nothing more miserable than bringing a group of non self aware people to the golf course and expecting them to be self aware. It is a difficult conversation, has nothing to do with the golf club. But beyond starting that work, starting a business itself is just challenging. It's about, and it's not even just a challenge, it's about sustaining it. So you've got the great idea, you've got the logo, you've got the social media handle, you've got all of these plans. But then what? It's more about sustaining. How do you scale? How do you adapt? How do you lead with vision? And that's a different skill set. And when we think about, technical assistance programs, when we think about coaching, CEO peer groups, peer advisory, group coaching, it's really all about sharing knowledge and skills that can help you move your business forward. And I'm saying this because I'm living it. I try to surround myself with business owners that have done it well or that have struggled and are now doing it well because they have gotten through it. Um, so that's what we're talking about today. Many entrepreneurs, even if you're not an entrepreneur, this may be happening in your career as well. You reach a point where you start to ask yourself, what's next after survival mode? You can't stay in survival mode. It's not even good for your health. How do I evolve and not become stagnant, saying the same thing over and over? I understand repetitiveness is important for people to get it. You need like 9 touch points at this point because we're oversaturated with information. 9 sales touch points for people to even remember your name when you need it. It's just like you're looking for something, but you can't remember if it was in your email, was that a text, was that WhatsApp, was on social media, and then which forum. Like we can't find things. So it is important to repeat a message, but at what point is your business becoming stagnant? At what point do you start to look at the work you're doing and think about how do we continue to grow? Not pivot, but continue to evolve. And then what are the habits, the systems, the mindset shifts that allow you to move past we made ends meet and now we want to grow and have wealth and abundance? Because everything can't be a struggle. At some point, you have to get off the struggle bus. I will say you have to stop boarding, stop asking for a pass, and stop going to the spaces and places that cause you to be in strife or conflict with growing your business exponentially. I will always talk about the book 10x is easier than 2x because it's a very good way to look at the bigger picture and the bigger goal instead of just focusing on the low hanging fruit, because it will always be a smaller opportunity. But will that lead to abundance? That's the question only you can answer. So let's talk about it. We've got 18 minutes. And I will say I am in the process of doing that myself. It is a great day, and I am recording from Scotland. I am in a room thinking about what does an executive retreat look like into a space or into a place like this? What could it look like for individual leaders to come together in more of a leisure activity, but for an opportunity to grow their business and just spend time at the golf course? I'm here. Many people from their private clubs are here. We're part of a group. And that's a bigger question. Like, what are the networks? Do you build a network or do you join a network? I am here as part of the LPGA Amateurs New York City chapter. A few people did a group trip, and I just happened to have the opportunity to be included. Different story for a different day. But let's talk about the evolution of your leadership. And generally asking the question why founders have to shift their mindset. I'm a huge believer in mindset. When I give someone a golf club for the first time, or I say we're going to do team building on the golf course, or I even recommend a team building activity that's experience based or experiential, the first question people ask is why? Why do we need to do this? What is this? What am I going to learn from this? How am I? So already their mindset is negative. Much of the work I do starts before the actual activity, but similar to our team building and training and coaching sessions and the executive retreats, entrepreneurship, it's dynamic. And the strategies that got you started are not going to keep you growing. They're just not. So many, when I look at like what are the biggest challenges that businesses face, or even individuals, like everything I'm saying is applicable to a person or a business. You're stuck in the hustle mentality. You're focused on the urgency instead of strategy. You're resisting delegation. You're trying to do everything yourself. I've got to be the person posting. I've got to do the invoices. Recipe for disaster. You're trying to do everything yourself instead of building efficient systems. A good system allows you to walk away and be in Scotland for a week unbothered. Or actually, that's a different story for a different day again. It also kind of, one of the things you'll see is that people fail to prioritize their personal well-being, and burnout is not a badge of honor. It is not. It is actually what will hinder your business from growing, because if you need to be there for everything to happen when you're not well or you're not able to, nothing will happen. It becomes a business liability instead. When we start to study what makes a great long-term leader, like there are many, there are many long-term leaders and individuals that have taken their small business to a remarkably large place. And it's not just about market segments, about being in the right place at the right time, but also being ready in that moment. They've evolved their leadership approach. They went from the doer to the leader, the strategic leader, the intentional leader, the delegator, and the person that's growing their team. They build sustainable structures. Like what does that mean? What am I saying? It's a process. It is a step-by-step guide, allowing you to scale without causing chaos. And maybe there's chaos in the beginning until you work out the process. But if chaos is your middle name, then that's not a badge of honor. That means you're in need of some support. And then they're protecting their mental clarity. Self-care is just part of the business strategy. Taking a vacation, stepping away allows you to come back with a fresh mind. Oh, I'm too busy. I can't do that. We'll find quiet, small moments, a short walk, a massage, a manicure, whatever allows you to disconnect and unplug for a uninterrupted amount of time. Start with 5 minutes, maybe it's meditation, then move to 30 minutes, then move to an hour, then move to a day, then move to a week or weekend, and then move to a week. Gradually builds up. And you'll start to see the more time you remove yourself, the more time you have to think about what's broken and what can be automated. I'd say the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program was a great indicator of how to do that, because you had to be present for the full day, and you had to be fully present, not on your computer, listening to the lesson. And it taught us the act of stepping away from the business. That's experience-based learning, the experience of moving away from your business. So thinking about that, that's golf can give us a lesson in that too. Besides the patience, precision, and perspective, you have to unplug and be off the phone on the golf course. I can say I'm guilty of not doing that all of the time, because every now and then I have to take a call that nothing I could do could move it, but I remove myself from those holes. It's not my best round usually. That's personal. We'll talk about that another time. Again, business is a long game. Entrepreneurship is a sprint? No. Is entrepreneurship a sprint? No. Certain actions might be. But if you want to stay in business, it's a marathon. It may feel like a sprint. It's not. It's a marathon. It requires you to have controlled focus, strategic adaptability, endurance, and patience. And there's nothing new under the sun. So when we first started the business, we would go out, we would find a pro, and then we would use that pro and bring people together and teach women golf, or teach individuals at our company golf, which is, that's when I was at Barclays. And then eventually I did it with my friends. We founded Black Jewels Ladies Golf Association, brought groups together. We went on trips. We went to go see the first Clearview golf course, which was the first Black-owned golf course. We did a lot of great things. The hard part about that was sustainability. Organizations need people to to run it. And you need a model that will keep going. So in those moments, I looked at what would be sustainable for me personally, because I do have a passion. But it's about having the patience to rise, to try these things, to pivot and do something else. The love of the game keeps me playing. And then we find different ways to build community. But golf is one of the greatest ways to force yourself to slow down, to remove yourself. Like, we never talk business specifically on the course, but we do talk about who we are, and we think about opportunities that are maybe experiences in our lives and things that would allow you to build a rapport, so that when it is time to really talk and do work, you have a relationship. Do we talk some business? Yeah, sometimes. But in most cases, it's just an opportunity to get to know someone in a more intentional way. But all of the work that I'm talking about is about you trusting the process and knowing that it is a lot of repeated action. So what are the real like tools that you need to sustain success? Reading is fundamental. Like, that was an ad back in maybe the 80s and 90s. I'm telling my age. It was like a little dog. So riff, and he would bark. Okay, it's a personal joke. Anyway, let's just focus on the task at hand. What do leaders need to do to shift from a reactive survival mode to a long-term impact mode? Here are the tips that I can give you. Redefine what success is beyond revenue. Money is important, but growth isn't always about or solely about the money. It's also about the legacy, the impact, and you having a balance and quality of life. What's the point of earning tremendous amounts of money if you can't enjoy it or you don't live to enjoy it? There's debating rules of thought or trains of thought around this. But I will say redefine success beyond the revenue. It'll allow you to prioritize what sustainable success looks like. Do you want to create jobs in your community, or do you want to train the next generation of leaders to have a certain skill set? I love interpersonal skills. I work with the Summer Youth Employment Program just to ensure I have an opportunity to influence how these next generation of students see themselves in the office. Everyone's not going to an Ivy League school, but everyone can show up with many of the characteristics that demonstrate high performance and high aptitude for learning and growth. And that's what I'm here to influence and shift the mindset of individuals, people, and in the next generation of leaders. I want more empathetic leaders. I'm around too many people that really don't care about society or anyone else. How can we thrive as a community or as a world if no one cares about anyone else? Personal preference, but that's how I've defined success beyond revenue. Invest in team development. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Scaling means that you have to trust others. Trust is hard. We have to think about our own personal journey first, and then think about how do we extend that. If you struggle with trusting others, trust me, it happens. If I can do it better, why should I let someone else? Then it's going to be very difficult to delegate. So we also have to do the internal work and understand what our own barriers are for delegating successfully and trusting others. I will say, yes, it's possible you will do it better, but there are a million other things that you probably should be doing to help your business grow. So if someone is giving you 80% and you can do it at 100, but you can do something else at that time, maybe you should take the other task on. Leadership is about empowering, not micromanaging. And then the third thing I'd say, prioritize your leadership reflection. Again, if you're just struggling to trust people, struggling to delegate, the best leaders, they take a step back regularly to assess their own mindset, what's coming up for them, their strategy, and their energy. As a leader, I have personally taken this step back. I did it in January and again in March and once again in April to say I had to focus only on the things that were allowing the business to grow, but allowing my own mind to focus on what I wanted more of, not what I wanted less of. So the abundance mindset that I'm embracing is about inviting in the things that I want. So if someone can use the word but in the middle of a sentence, then it negates the beginning of the sentence. I don't know if anyone has heard this. For example, I like this, but these things bother me. Then you're not really focused on what you like. And so abundance mindset in my mind and in my experience and in what I am personally doing is I enjoy this, period. No comma, no dash, no hyphen, no further words. And that is what I've invited in. And that is why I encourage you to invite it and pay attention to your own language. How many times do you negate your own opportunity to grow and be abundant? The universe can't understand both. So my focus is solely what I would want more of. And I surround myself with people that speak in that same way. And if they don't, then I limit my time because that's all I can do. That's all I can control. I can't control what others say or do, but I can control my access to what I allow in my head and what I've allowed to influence my life. So, what does this mean in real life for you? If you're sitting here listening to me, and I'm only doing 18 minutes, so 18 minutes of leadership, welcome again, then you have 2 more minutes to listen. Great entrepreneurs, they pivot when it's needed. And trust me, I've done it. Follow my social media feed. You're adjusting your strategy just like a golfer is adjusting the swing. Trust me, that's happening right now here in Scotland, where they're leading intentionally, not just reactively. And most importantly, you're protecting your ability to think clearly because burnout will limit your ability to dream. It limits your vision because you're still struggling. So the decisions you're making are not exponential. They're survival. It's like if you have a lot of food, you'll choose what you like. It's like a buffet. There's two people at this buffet. There's people that eat everything and want everything, or the people that kind of go through, sample a little, and then they go back and get more of the thing that they like. Which person are you going to be? So you want to protect your ability to think clearly because that's what allows you to have the vision. And if you don't redefine the leadership beyond the grind, success will always feel like survival instead of evolution. So now at the close, I will say, take this challenge. It's the end of May. It's the end of Small Business Month. It's the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's also Memorial Day. So thank you to all of the veterans that served. Um, May you rest in peace because Memorial Day is not Veterans Day. Memorial Day is to honor those that have fallen and that are no longer with us. So thank you for protecting the civil liberties that we take for granted. Um, so thank you for that. Secondly, I will say as we close, here is your challenge. Where do you need to evolve in leadership? Self reflective, opportunity to sit down, journal. What do you need to adjust? If something has happened to you multiple times, you are the problem. You do need to fix it. If you see in multiple cases, and I say this because I'm doing the work myself, it's like, wow, I've repeated that habit a few times. That's where the self reflection helps. What is one shift that you need to make to sustain long term success? And how are you actively protecting your mental clarity as you scale? Are you scheduling time in for a weekly massage? Are you scheduling time in? It can't be an afterthought. It has to be as intentional as saving a 10% of your profit. It has to be intentional. And if this conversation resonated with you and you're a leader that's thinking about, well, how do I do that? Where do I start? And you're looking for that strategic reset, we can do it on the golf course. We can have a conversation through a coaching session. You can direct message me and we can explore leadership firsthand because entrepreneurship is the foundation, but long term leadership, that's the legacy. Join us again for Any Given Monday next week.